These are those geraniums that I still need to cut back a little bit, but I've gone ahead and left it in the pot. I just need to cut back all of these yellow leaves, and there's still some blooms. I plan to just water them once a month. These are the agapanthus that one was on the porch, the one in the back, and this one was on the patio. And I'm hopeful that these will overwinter for me. They're a perennial in some zones, in the higher zones, but here in northern Illinois, zone 5B, where we get pretty cold winters, these are treated as an annual, but I am attempting to overwinter them. And then these are my hydrangeas, which are the, let's see if I've got them here, the tag. They're the, I'll put the name down below, but they're the cascading hydrangea that never bloomed for me. And I kept them in containers because I was hoping that they would stay the blue color, but they never bloomed. So instead of digging them up or removing them from the pot and putting them in the ground, I decided to try and overwinter them in the containers. So cross our fingers that this works out. And then we have, hanging off my golf clubs, my grow lights, if you can see. And we've got that program to go on for 8 hours at a time, just because there's no sunlight in here other than when the garage door is open. So we'll see what happens. That's my small stash of perennials and shrubs that are getting overwintered. So I filled up my cart here with my Dahlia tubers, but I have no idea what shape they're in. It's just a small tray here of, I don't believe I dug them all up. I'm going to take a look. No, I didn't dig them all up. I ran out of time before I left for Toronto 2.5 weeks ago, and I'm looking at some of these and they look pretty shriveled up. They've been in the garage just drying out for the last 2.5 weeks, and I'm afraid they might not be viable. We'll see. And then I have a box here from Longfield Gardens with some Amaryllis, and we're going to take a look at the greenhouse. There's some Amaryllis there right outside the greenhouse. We'll see if it's not too late. These are some bulbs that were in my containers this past spring, and I just threw them in a paper bag, and they were in a dark corner of the greenhouse, or of the garage, I should say. And I'm just going to take a look at them now and see what's viable. And I think there's definitely some daffodils here. So we're going to go through that, sit on the patio, and then I have a bag of random bulbs that Greg bought for me from the local hardware store at clearance about a month ago. So we'll go through that and maybe plant up some containers today. My last thing I wanted to show you in the garage. Oh yes, he did pull out my 2 hose links. They're sitting here draining. But I bought a 4 cubic foot bag of vermiculite, which I guess I decided to get something big versus those little bags I buy for seed starting. But look at the size of this bag, this carton. Can you see how large this is? And I literally laughed out loud when I saw this because, let's see, I'm trying to see if I can see the size. I recall it being a 4 cubic, and it was about $45, $50 for this versus spending $15 for a small, 8-quart bag. Let's head to the patio. It's a bit of an obstacle course getting out of here. while we're out here, wow, it's beautiful. There is what it looks like after a couple of snowstorms. Not really snowstorms, but we had some snow, and that's what happens. And I just leave those. But these hostas, we need to come in here and cut these back. Definitely. And Greg mentioned that this obelisk isn't lighting up because, look, the solar panel is down there. So we got to cut this back and this hosta over here. See what state that Amaryllis is in. We'll dig that up today too. So it's been a couple weeks, as I mentioned, since I've been in the garden, and this is what the bloom-struck hydrangeas look like. Pretty sad. Now, typically with my big leaf hydrangeas, I don't do anything with them during the fall. I let these just sit the way they are. They don't get a lot of wind back here, so they're sheltered. I know some people deadhead their hydrangeas if there's any risk of, excessive wind and snow, and you don't want, the branches sort of breaking and collapsing from intense wind or snow. But these are pretty protected, so I tend to leave them on their own. But if they are kind of unsightly, sometimes I do go ahead and defoliate. I might do that if I have time. To be honest, I'm not feeling 100% yet out here, so I just want to do what is absolutely necessary. There's my panicle hydrangea, my hydrangea room. That's usually shaded in the morning. Here is the cut flower garden. I did a lot of my cutting back of roses, but I haven't yet done my climbing clematis or my climbing rose over here. This is Arbor Rose Honeymoon and Eustacia Vi. And here are this is my perennial bed of cut flowers, and you can see that I'm getting, these are poppies over here, and I'm getting some new growth happening. That's yarrow at the back there. It's yarrow. And feverfew here. This is agastache or anise hyssop. So look at all that already. And then here's bachelor's buttons. Some poppies back there. These are poppies. This is yarrow over here. Some poppies. These are Dusty Miller. You can recognize those. And then here are the two beds that I planted. 250 bulbs in each of these beds. And so far, it's looking pretty good. I had some new seedlings over here of zinnias that I had planted really late in the season, but they were overtaken by the first frost, so they didn't make it. Always making sure that there's nothing being dug up here. And this bed is still to get taken down. Last year I left these till the end, till the spring. These are snapdragons, and I was hoping some of them would come back, but they didn't. These are a hybrid Potomac series, so they tend to not come back the same way. So I not collected seeds this year for that reason, and also because I like to be very specific about what I'm growing, so I always buy new seeds from Johnny's for my snapdragons, my Potomac, and I still have so many seeds from the last 2 seasons. The reason I don't want to leave these here is that this is a perfect place for the mother rabbits to come and nest, and I really don't want to promote that over the winter. And as you can see there, my red bud has already shed all of its leaves. I'm really hoping to get ahead of it in the spring because it has suffered a lot of fungal disease. So I'm hoping to prune that back. And this is the bloomerang lilac over here, and another one there, and the forsythia in the back. Some daisies that I grew from seed in these areas, and then some other perennials. So this is the pilgrim. So large. This was very, very healthy. I'm not planning to defoliate it. I don't know if I'll cut it back a little bit. I probably should. Oh, such a gorgeous day. I'm just not feeling 100% as I mentioned, so I wish I did. I would love to do some lights today, but I'm not able to get up on a ladder and do all that today, but really want to do that before the winter. Hi everyone, welcome back to my garden. It's Ann at Martin House Flowers. So I'm back in the garden. It's been a minute. I think I've been gone pretty much 3 weeks by now. And my big dilemma, my big worry was whether or not I dug up my dahlia tubers too soon. I mean, I knew I was supposed to dig them up after a frost or two, which I did. But the problem is that I was supposed to store them in either wood shavings or vermiculite, and I didn't have the vermiculite arrive on time. So I'll show you that ginormous bag that did arrive from Amazon that was supposed to arrive literally the day before I left. So I didn't have a choice but to just leave my tubers out in this tray. I'm going to move these aside. And so I'll bring you up close to see what state they're in. I only dug up the ones that I was really loving. I didn't dig up every tuber because I didn't have the best success. So I clearly have too much vermiculite. But I wanted to take you up close because I have no idea if any of these are viable. I've kind of done a bit of the squish test, and some of them are looking kind of ridgy. Not great, and maybe they'll plump up, but when they go squishy like this, I'm pretty sure from everything I've read that's not a good sign. And then, you know, here's one that's pretty solid, but there's no eye, so that's no good. And don't even know if I've marked these correctly, but I'm pretty sure all of these are labyrinth. Yes. So I'm gonna go ahead and inspect all of these, and you guys let me know what you think. I'm gonna grab my snippers, my alcohol, make sure everything's clean, and then I have a box that I'm gonna store them in, see what happens. But I'm honestly not even sure, with my lack of energy level being a little under the weather, whether or not these are going to be worthwhile. I think sometimes when it's a little bit ridgy, it's okay, but they're pretty kind of squishy. So soft and squishy. Maybe there's something okay in here, but not really. There's no mold, but I might have left them too long is the problem. So this is what I worried about with dahlia tubers, whether or not I would have the discipline. I thought I would have the discipline after deciding, yes, I'm going to commit to it. And I got my vermiculite and all that. But sometimes the timing just doesn't work out because I had to go back to Toronto to take care of some personal things, so the timing just wasn't ideal in terms of not storing them properly. So I'm not feeling really good about it right now. But let's take a close-up look, and you can please, for those experienced dahlia tuber experts, please let me know what you think. Okay, so I've brought the camera up close, and I've taken my 91% alcohol, cleaned off my snips that have been sitting here, and I'm just going to go through. I don't have that many. I've seen people on YouTube that I follow, flower farmers. I've seen them separate each tuber ahead of storing them. I've seen people just store them as a clump. I think I'm going to go ahead and inspect each one. There's something that just fell off. And then just pack away in this box that I have over here. Just throw in there what's good, and then what's not good I'll leave in the tray. So the first thing I want to do is maybe eliminate what is obviously not viable. So these things here, you know, you do snip off all of the roots, these loose roots. And I have, let me just take my glasses off. I have heard that if you, so this is obviously if you have a dangling neck, you need a strong neck that's not broken and a strong tuber that is not squishy. So this is all squishy. Yeah. So I think these are all sadly rotten. Not even worth trimming. Like, see all these broken necks? This is going to be a video of how to fail at dahlias, sadly. This one here is a big clump, and I'm just going around and feeling all of these tubers, and they're all soft. Yeah, they're all soft, every one of them, and they just look like they've just dried up. So this could be a lesson in going with your original thoughts, and that you didn't have the discipline to store tubers. But this one here, let's just snip away all these roots. Like, how firm should they be? So a couple methods I've seen recently is, one method is just potting up your tuber and putting it in regular soil. These are pretty firm. This one looks okay, but it has a broken neck right there. So see this? Broken neck. No good. Broken neck. Honestly, I'm feeling like we can fast forward this and start over next year. I think for me this year, Anne, these are just, we're going to call these annuals. So sadly, tuber fail. But The good news is I have a whole bunch of new bulbs, and we're going to plant some new bulbs today. Bye-bye, tubers. Oh, such a shame. Best laid plans. Enter new tub. I think I need to go get some fresh potting mix so we can plant these Amaryllis. I do have, let's see here, I've got some Queen of Night. I also have some Black Parrot. So I'm kind of thinking I want to put these in the ground because I think I have a bunch of tulips that aren't going to make it, aren't going to perennialize on the side yard. So we can go over there in a bit. And then I've got some paper whites. So yes, paper whites I definitely want to plant up in containers to go indoors. And then I have some Muscari blue also for containers. And these look like they need to get planted up. So these are from Longfield Gardens. If we open up this box, I went ahead and dug up these 3 Amaryllis that were planted and forgotten at the side of, or in front of the greenhouse. And you know, sometimes things like Amaryllis and Dahlias are just a little bit fussy for me because if you want to treat them more than an annual. But these did so phenomenal for me over the holidays, and I just didn't pull them out of the ground. I could have just kept them in a dark place and in the garage, but didn't because, I thought, oh, I'll just plant them in the ground. And then, of course, in the course of all of the, I'm just cleaning them up here, in the course of the crazy fall tasks, projects, I just never got around to pulling them out and putting them into dormancy. So I consulted a couple people that I follow, and one of them was Vita. And Vita, I'm really hoping you chime in today's video, and I'm going to go ahead and plop all 3 of these. I think these are the nymphs, doubles. I'm going to go ahead and plop them in this blue and white pot where they were last year. And I'm going to just put some fresh potting mix. It was Vita that suggested I just go ahead and pot them up and try skipping the dormancy stage and seeing, how whether or not it works out. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I know these did so well in this pot. Again, you only want to cover your Amaryllis by bulbs about halfway. And, hopefully there's not excess moisture that went in there. But at the top part, that's what you want to avoid. But these look pretty good. I'm just going to basically cover up the roots. Give it a light watering. And I could probably bring them indoors already if I want them to go ahead and flower for the holidays. They take anywhere from 6 to 12 weeks, which is quite a broad range. But last year I had them sitting in the greenhouse, and I might still do that if it's nice and warm, because they'll get some sun, and it kind of gives it it gives them a head start. And there is such a thing as watering the roots of your amaryllis overnight, letting them kind of soak a little bit to give your amaryllis a head start to bloom. This is getting a little too full now, so that's good. You want it pretty shallow. Some people say like just a third, a half, but you definitely want to keep your bulb exposed like so, and just cover the roots. So that is plenty. I'm going to give it a light watering. And amaryllis want to be nice and snug. Which that is. Then I'm going to put some fresh moss. We're just going to give it a light watering. You always want to avoid getting moisture in the center of your bulb. So you just want to give it a light watering. The ground was pretty moist, so and of course the moss helps maintain the moisture. Okay. I'm not too concerned about giving it enough moisture right now, because they just came out of the ground, and once I start to see some growth, I'm gonna report back and scream in delight that they didn't die or rot. But they didn't feel rotten at all. They felt still pretty good. So that's one potential win for us at Martin House. Okay, so I grabbed those 3 pots that I've been saving. These are clay pots that are in that nice off-white, and they have little plates, which is what is making me think that I want to use these for amaryllis. And that's a pretty good size bulb. I think they're going to be, these pots are too big. Just wanted to show you what size that you ideally want for your amaryllis bulb. So typically you want just about an inch excess or extra space on the outside of your bulb, which I think that will be fine. And versus here, I would have to put at least 2, and I don't have 2 identical, so I don't really want to mix them. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use these pots, and then, you know, they're nice enough that I can put them in my dining room table, put 3 in a row. I have a long kitchen dining room table, or the kitchen counter. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use these. I've been saving these for I don't know what. So ideally, they're going to have something special in them. So yeah, let's go ahead and fill up these pots. I'm feeling better. In case you're wondering if I'm sad about my dahlia tubers, I am. I'm not completely shocked, only because I knew that, it was a risk. I might just forgo dahlias next year. I don't know. We'll see. I do have um, I have a hole in my glove. These gloves need to go. I do have a coupon or a certificate for all the dahlias that didn't come up this year from Longfield. So I have about a $60 credit with them. So next spring I might buy some dahlias. I don't know. I don't know if dahlias are for me, honestly. Um, I don't want to be a quitter, but they're quite an investment. And then, if they don't work out, you're sort of disappointed. And I think if those that do really well with them, they do it in a big way. So, so this first one is an Amaryllis single Mandela. And, oh, this is the red burgundy one. So I did one burgundy, dark burgundy. So let me put this one here so I know this is it. And then we're going to put, this is the double Alaska. This is a white one. Ooh, she's a nice big one. Look at that relative to the, so that's a really good size. So all you really have to do is sort of get them and then I will just sort of top up the soil a little bit. And then the third one is the double nymph, which is what I think I have over there. I think I have 3 double nymphs over there. Absolutely gorgeous. Oh, this one has roots. Look at that one. None of these had roots. No. Such a beautiful day to be doing this on the patio versus even in the greenhouse, because unfortunately the greenhouse is still not ready for me to move in. Greg is getting there with the electrical. I should say too that it does say somewhere to leave up to 1/3 of the bulb exposed. Okay, so there's all of my amaryllis planted up. I have last year's double nymph. I didn't bother labeling because I remember this. And I'm just going to double check. Is it? Yeah, it's definitely moist underneath. And then I have my Mandela single, which is a beautiful dark burgundy red, a double Alaska, and the double nymph. So I can also, if I can source or find some bamboo or twigs to kind of, put around here as they grow, and they can kind of just lean on them. But for now, I'm just going to leave them the way they are. I've got these lovely saucers for each of these. And just wipe them off a little bit, like so, and set them in the greenhouse for now. So one of the things I wanted to do was give my myrtle that's doing so well. It's been indoors in my south-facing garden, and let's just give this another. Didn't really use this much, but I want to give it its first little haircut. Linda Votter, let me know what you think. This baby was my birthday present from my mother-in-law last year. She had given me a gift card like she often does, and I used it to buy one of these. Oh, it smells so good. Oh, it smells so good. And honestly, it had struggled a little bit. It was in the greenhouse, and I moved it around quite a bit. Don't be afraid to move around your myrtles. They don't like frost for sure. So I had it doing really well right here on the patio, which is north facing. And so I gave it, I don't know if I've given it a feed lately, but it's been sitting on the front. It's shedding a little bit, but not too badly. Now, do we trim this little guy? I think we do. It struggled, and then it grew once it even survived a storm. We were in Toronto one weekend, and my stepdaughter sent me a picture of how it had fallen and broken one of those little blue and white pot, which is a small version of that large one that we just planted the double nymph amaryllis in. And that blue and white pot sadly broke right here on the patio. And so this pot was sitting empty, so I asked Maggie to just put it directly in here, and it's kind of grown to the pot. So it has literally doubled in size, I would say, to what it had been. I'm going to leave that one because it might fill in here. So that's all I'm going to do. I guess I've given it a little trim here and there. There's these little berries on top that I think are going to flower, so I really don't want to trim those. So that's it for now. That can go back indoors. Okay, so I'm digging through my boxes of Longfield Garden bulbs, and I have a bag here of paper whites. These are the Tizeta Near 10 count. So I'm going to do just 5 in each of these white clay pots. They're pretty heavy. I grew violas from seed here last year, and these paper whites are already sprouting. So you want to plant these pretty shallow. Um, you can take off this skin if you want, but I'm just going to go ahead and use whatever soil I have in here, and just have the crown or the bulb just sticking out a little bit. So I said there were 10, so we're just going to do 5 in here. I'm going to face them all inward. That way they start to reach for the sun. And I think what I'll do is I'll set these in my guest room window. They have side tables in the guest room where we were filming the other day, where I was unboxing all of my Christmas stash. So those windows have a little bit of sunlight, and I've put paper whites there before when I have guests, and they're sort of the first things to come up, which is really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and just set those in. So easy. I think next time I'm at the local hardware store, I might find myself look for some bamboo so I can create little trellises. So this works out perfectly. Now the Tizeta Near are the ones that are less fragrant. Some people say that they don't like the smell of paper whites. I know my family doesn't. They said that it smells a little bit like, let's just call it what it is, cat pee. But these ones are supposed to be a milder fragrance or scent. We're getting through our boxes. So this is the last one. I didn't bother replacing the soil in here. I might throw in some fresh potting mix on top. But I know this was all fresh Pro Mix this past spring, and paper whites don't need anything fancy. But we'll give it just a little bit, like a handful of fresh potting mix. Giving up on the gloves because they all have holes in them. I do have a brand new pair. I'm just not wanting to use them yet. So these will go inside. Paper whites are not hardy in my zone. They've always been just an indoor forced bulb for me. And they're just so pretty. I think, garden inspired Christmas decor is sort of what I'm going for. I might even set them up in my coffee table in the great room. We don't have a family room, living room. We just have a great room. which is sort of open concept. I think you've seen it. So I'm just gonna, and there's, second story windows that bring in quite a bit of light, although it's north facing in the back. So they should, because they're sprouting already, it doesn't take much to sprout paper whites. I think they'll probably be okay if I just put them in on the coffee table in the great room. And they're white, so it'll go nicely with my neutral Christmas decor. When it's such a beautiful day like today, you gotta take advantage of the weather and work in the garden. I mean, it's so nice that I don't even want to be in the greenhouse. The greenhouse is, even if it was ready, I mean, I could clear a space for myself. But why move things around if Greg's just gonna move them away from the wall again? I think this weekend, which is officially the weekend, tomorrow, he will probably want to work in there. So, all right, that's that. So glad I found that bag of potting mix. And then we're gonna go ahead and let's give it a little water first. What I like about these pots is there's a built-in saucer already. I think I got these last year, last spring, last January at TJ Maxx or Home Goods, one of those places, that chain. Okay, so that's that. That's how they look. So pretty. Here are the pots that we worked on yesterday. The Amaryllis, double white Amaryllis from last year that I potted up again. Hopefully they will bloom, facing the little bit of sunlight we get here in the front entryway that faces south. My topiary, my myrtle, all trimmed up. My rosemary, once I brought it in, it's done so much better. It's greened up. And this money tree we've had for 4 years, it just keeps growing. I keep cutting it back, and it's in its original pot that my brother sent us when we first moved here, but it's doing well. The lemon tree, it's shed a few leaves, but I think she's going to be okay. I'm wondering if I should get a plant stand for this little window that we have. We are so struggling for windows that face sunlight or south facing. So these tend to hover over here. If we have company, I'll move these lovely topiaries onto the tables, but for just every day, they're getting all the sun they need over here. So I'm hoping that Amaryllis will get some sunlight to get it started. Eddie, Eddie, want to say bye-bye? Say bye. Bye, Eddie. Where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going? All right. We'll see you again next time. Don't go anywhere. Okay, I'm going in. I'm going in. Bye, Eddie. Eddie, I'm going. Bye. Bye. See ya. Eddie, bye. I guess he has to go.